I absolutely love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I want to talk more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So welcome to the series of Rebirth Revisited, where we go through every single chapter of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, talk about the story, talk about the gameplay, and everything else in between. There may be things I might miss. There may be things that I don't talk about more than what you want me to talk about. That is your cue to chime in the comment section below, and we can have an overall good time there. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I've got you covered with timestamps in the description down below, so if there's a certain section you want to skip to, feel free to do so. All I ask is you to support the channel and hit the thumbs up button. But before we continue, I want to state that there will be spoilers for chapter 1 in this video, so if you've not played, go play and then come back, but that's the warning for you guys. Let's dive straight in, and I'm starting off with a little bit of story time here because I went to the Rebirth event to play what I was told the first 2 chapters of the game, and I would also played the Nibelheim flashback demo. So I was under the assumption that chapter 1 of the full game was going to play out the same way. So when we had that recap of the end of Remake, I thought, you know what, I'm going to skip this and get straight into the gameplay. I skipped the cutscene, and then Zack freaking fair. That's all I've got to say. I didn't know what was going on. I had no context, and I was like, oh, I think I've made a mistake here. So I backed out and reset the game, watched the cutscene, and yes, Zack fair starts off the game, and it's absolutely incredible to see him. And obviously we're going to see more of him as we talk more. But just that kind of pan behind him, and then the fact that we get to control him, I was in awe. I did what everyone else probably did and rotated the camera like, is this really happening? Yes, this is really happening. So we start off by chasing down this helicopter that is carrying Aerith in Red 13. Red 13 attacks the pilot, which causes the helicopter to crash. We proceed towards it, get stopped by some soldiers. There's a little nod towards the motor ball as we pass on by, and then we get to control Zack in combat. Even though this combat is very basic, it was such a pleasure to play as Zack once again, diving around, dodging around, and hitting the Shinra grunts. We have another round with a few other Shinra grunts. We throw a bit of rubble to a helicopter to take it down. We rescue Aerith. We hide with Aerith. They have a moment. It starts raining. The white materia falls from the hair of Aerith, and then Zack cries, and wow, we dive straight into the Nibelheim flashback. I was not expecting that, but it was a pleasure nonetheless. I believe these scenarios are called A Worlds Apart. I might be wrong there, but what a nice, surprising intro that Square certainly kept close to their chest for the beginning of Rebirth. We then dive into the Nibelheim flashback. We have Cloud telling the story in calm. We proceed to the back of the van where Cloud has certain traits of Zack, doing the squats and being very upbeat, talking to a Shinra grunt with blonde hair. So there was definitely Sure Tale signs for those that have played the compilation, but there's definitely some layers there for people that may not be familiar with the compilation. We get stopped. We get to play as Sephiroth. We then make it to Nibelheim, and we are allowed to go off to do what we want. So let me take a moment to talk about Nibelheim, and I've mentioned a lot of this in my demo review if you want to check that out, but I'm going to recap a lot of it. I like Nibelheim in Rebirth because it is flushed out. It is not just the well in the middle and the houses surrounding it. There is a bit of more area covered here. There's more characters to make this town feel lively, all with dialogue. There's a few other NPCs here and there. You've got the people doing the yoga, and you've got the sandwich that you can eat and then eat and then eat again. There's a few chests hidden here and there, and it gives you a good sense of scope of what to expect in Rebirth. We then climb the well, and then we have a plethora of options to do what we want. We can progress with the story by going straight to Cloud's house and then going to the inn, or we can do a little bit of exploration, and we have the chance to go to Tifa's house with some nice funny dialogue, play the piano. We get to go over into the town hall to see what the town hall looks like, get to go over to the general store, or we can just explore Nibelheim Nibelheim just that little bit more. But we go to the inn, we talk to Sephiroth, and we wake up the following morning ready to go and traverse Mount Nibel to the reactor. And let me just say, I like where the reactor's positioned. It's overlooking the town of Nibelheim. It was just visually very pleasing. But we get introduced to Tifa. She is our guide with some kick-ass music. We get the photograph, and then we start traversing Mount Nibel. And this is something that I have praised, and I'm going to praise again here. We get that sense of scope of like the open area because we are traversing the Nibel region, which we do get to explore later in the game, but we are pretty limited to what we can do. There's not enemies around. It is literally following Tifa, and as we do that, the credits start rolling and the most beautiful rendition of the world map theme plays. Again, the third time playing this, I absolutely loved it. We then have the tutorial battles to kind of get used to combat with Cloud, and then in the full game, this is where we have the option to skip the entire dungeon crawl section and go straight to where Sephiroth starts losing his mind. But we're not going to skip, we're going to quickly recap. We get a sense of how the dungeons are going to work. There are a few little shimmy holes here and there, but there is a lot of things off the off-beaten path. There's materia over there, there's some chests over there. You can go back and battle some enemies to brush up on the combat, play as Sephiroth a little bit more. We see the classic Mako kind of crystallization that everyone's in awe of, and I was one of those people in awe as well. We go even further, we use some suction hoovers for some Mako. One's a little bit trickier because we have to open a gate and then push it through. Then we make it to the Materia Guardian. This is the first big boss battle that we have of the game. We learn how the stagger system works, how to aim for certain enemy parts, and it was a good introduction to how these bigger battles work. We defeat the Materia Guardian, then we make it to the reactor. Tifa waits outside with that Shinra grunt. We go inside, and then we discover about the Genova project, or just remnants of it. We see the big name, and this is where Sephiroth starts to lose his mind. Before that, we have to do a bit of R2 and L2 to twist a little bit of a wheel to let one of the valves loose, and then that's where Sephiroth starts to lose it, and then we return back to the town. We find out that Sephiroth is in the Shinra mansion, so we go towards the Shinra mansion, and yes, I think with the third time you're playing this now, I do indeed wish there was more to the Shinra mansion. Maybe it didn't hit for everyone. It hit alright for me, but we go down to the basement, we go past where we know a certain ex-Turk is sleeping, and then we make it to Sephiroth, who is reading books on the Genova project and learning more about himself. He slowly starts to go insane, he gets really mad, and he wants us to leave him alone. We go back to the inn, then we go back to the manor. He goes even more insane and says he's off to see Mother. And then we exit the mansion, and the town of Nibelheim is engulfed in flames, and we are now introduced to the section that a lot of people dislike, and I get it. We have a slow walking, limping section of which we need to take a detour all the way around the town of Nibelheim to make it to where Cloud's house is, and then that is followed by QTE crawling scene. I get what they were going for. The third time playing it, yes, maybe a little bit tedious. Again, very immersed in the music that accompanies it, and just watching the Nibelheim militia party kind of like freeze in awe of Sephiroth not wanting to shoot him, but should really shoot him. But I guess they're trying to show off what kind of menace Sephiroth is and what kind of threat he is when he has turned the tables from good guy to bad guy. Things progress. We get the epic, iconic scene of Sephiroth in the flames with a little sinister smile that really adds more to this moment. Remember, this was a town full of life, many NPCs that we eavesdropped on. They're probably all gone now. So it really adds a little bit more of the ante when it comes to this scene. We then chase into the reactor, and then we get the kind of face-off between Sephiroth and Cloud, and then we get back to calm present day. Tifa is very unsure. I didn't know that they were going to explore this so soon, but they did. Tifa, Aerith lying in bed, Tifa saying that Cloud was not there 5 years ago, so it kind of addresses it pretty soon, and I thought it was just going to be one of these things where Tifa confides in Aerith about this throughout the story, but no, this gets confronted straight off the bat, and what adds it even more to the tension between Cloud and Tifa is that Cloud sees a vision of Sephiroth through Broden, the innkeeper, and we'll get into him a little bit more in the next video that we do for chapter 2, but he sees Sephiroth and Sephiroth asks Cloud, "Who is she? I killed her," which adds more to this tension between Tifa and Cloud. They talk about it, he questions it, she lifts up the top and shows him the scar, and again, I couldn't believe that they addressed this so soon, but it creates this animosity between Cloud and Tifa straight off the get-go, so you kind of know what they're going for, but it really adds to this story and relationship those two have. And then we go to sleep and we wake up the next morning starting chapter 2. So chapter 1 in a nutshell, after everything I've just addressed, I really think this is a good introduction to the game. The playable Zack was very surprising to me, to the point where I skipped it and didn't know what was going on, so I had to go back and watch it. And then playing the Nibelheim flashback once again, I think this is a great introduction to see how powerful Sephiroth is and have a play around with him, but also, especially as a fan of the compilation and knowing that lore, just how unreliable Cloud is during this and the little nods towards that. The next chapter we will be covering is quite a big chapter in terms of gameplay and its story, so that's maybe split up into a couple of videos, but I'm hoping that you can join me for that video nonetheless. If there's anything I've missed or there's something you want to talk about, feel free to do in the comments section down below. I'm going to be busting out some Rebirth content, so hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified of that content, hit the like button, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.